Hey everyone. As we get into the home stretch of the Abbott and Costello films, well, at least those I have to work with, we have a triple feature for today. Now, starting us off is their 1955 film, Abbott and Costello Meet the Keystone Kops. Now, Harry Pierce, Bud Abbott, convinces his buddy Willie Piper, Lou Costello, to use his aunt's money to buy a movie studio, believing it to be a good investment. What they don't know at first is that they have been conned by Joseph Gorman, Fred Clark, into buying one of Thomas Edison's closed-down studios. Now, by the time Harry and Willie figure it out, Gorman and his friend Leota Van Cleet, Lynn Barry, are on a train heading towards Hollywood, where he plans to be a big director under the pseudonym Sergei Tumanov. Now, on his way, Gorman, or maybe I should now start saying Tumanov, is stopped and hired by movie producer Rudolph Snavely, Frank Wilcox. Now, Harry and Willie make their way out there, both on foot and by train. At one point, they find themselves on the back of a covered wagon being chased by Native Americans, before it is revealed that the whole chase was being filmed, and by none other than Tumanov. Now, Snavely likes the stunts that Harry and Willie do with the wagon, and wants them hired as stuntmen. Now, Tumanov and Leota recognize Harry and Willie and make plans for some stunts that will kill them. Now, to make sure, Tumanov also hires a thug named Hines, Maxie Rosenblum, to help off them. Now, between the two of them, they make plans to have Willie double for Leota in a plane, with another pilot being given live ammunition to shoot at them, instead of the blanks that he was supposed to be using. However, things don't go as planned, and both Harry and Willie survive. Now, when viewing the footage they had shot, Snavely decides to hire Harry and Willie as a new comedy team, with Tumanov as their director. Now, at first, Tumanov protests, but Snavely reveals that he figured out that Tumanov is actually Joseph Gorman. Now, Snavely allows him to keep the job and the name, providing he would reimburse his victims out of his pay, and also keep Harry and Willie safe. Now, faced with no alternative, he goes along with it, although Harry and Willie soon find out that Tumanov is Gorman, and they try to find some evidence on their own. Now, Gorman and Leota are forced to go on the run when Hines demands his pay, which they can only provide by stealing the money from Snavely's safe. Now, Harry and Willie walk in on them taking the money, which leads to a chase that quickly involves the Keystone Kops. Now, I admit that going into this one, I was really not looking forward to seeing this movie again. I saw it once before some time ago, and at that time, I was left with a feeling that it was one of the worst Abbott and Costello films. Now, I was pleasantly surprised to see that it was better than I thought, although it's definitely still far from perfect. The movie had many fun moments, I thought. Bud and Lou do their oyster routine again, except this time it's with a squirrel that keeps switching between loaves of bread that they're eating, with the added fun that Bud actually sees the squirrel at the end of the routine. Now, one of the film's best moments is when Bud and Lou's characters try to find evidence against Fred Clark's Joseph Gorman. Now, Bud goes into the house dressed as a burglar, while Lou is outside dressed as a policeman, with a mustache to boot. And they run into trouble because there's a real thief there, who is also dressed like Bud, and a real policeman comes, and he looks extremely similar to Lou in his disguise. And with all the comings and goings there, everything really just drives Fred Clark's character crazy. And then there's also the final hilarious chase scene with the Keystone Kops. But as I did hint at earlier, though, this movie still has its problems. For one thing, the stunt doubles for Bud and Lou are way too obvious at times, especially when you watch how Bud himself moves for his age, and then you see the double running like a much younger man. Then there's the frequent use of rear screen projection. Now, to be fair, there probably wasn't much to be done about that, but it still looks way too fake. But ultimately, I would also say that the Keystone Kops are the biggest disappointment. Now, for one thing, in spite of their prominence in the title, they really don't appear until the very end, which feels more like a quick cameo appearance. Had the film gone with its working title of Abbott and Costello and the Stuntman, it might not have been quite so bad. I still don't think that's a great title either, but it's at least better. Then, of course, there's also the fact that the Keystone Kops are not that recognizable anymore. Quite frankly, that was concern for the Universal executives at the time, but at least then, the Keystone Kops comedies were starting to show up on TV, and so in some respects they were still kind of relevant. Now it seems like only the hardcore film fans might have any idea who they are. And quite frankly, beyond this film, I can't really say as I do yet. Still, as I said, I did enjoy this movie more than I thought I would the second time around, and I would recommend at least giving it a try. Now, this movie is available on Blu-ray from Shout Factory as part of the 28 film The Complete Abbott and Costello Universal Pictures Collection, and is 1 hour and 19 minutes in length. Well, that should be all I have to say for that one, everybody, so thanks for listening, and I hope you'll keep tuning in for more.